إن الحمد لله أحمده وأستعينه وأستغفره وأستهديه وأعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله يا رب صل وسلم وبارك على خير خلقك ورسلك نبينا وحبيبنا وإمامنا وقدوتنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليمًا كثيرًا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما ثم أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. In Sunan al-Tirmidhi, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu said that a man of the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was looking for a place to live at, and he went in an area that was far from the people in Medina, and he found that this area has got a water well with a very pure and sweet water. So he liked it very much, and he thought of moving there, staying away from people so that he can just enjoy the remaining of his life, away from any issues, any concern, and having peaceful place to live in, and having a source of water, very beautiful and kind and safe, a new residency. He then said, but I won't do this unless I ask Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he presented his issue, probably like how much he was suffering from his current residency in the city, all the concerns and issues that he have with people, and now that he wanted to go stay away from people and just enjoy his life. He ﷺ said, لا تفعل, don't do that. فإن مقام أحدكم في سبيل الله خير له من أن يصلي في بيته 70 عاما. For staying in a place in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that you do the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted you to do for the sake of Allah, despite all the challenges that you face, is better for you than staying at your home praying continuously for 70 years. And then he ﷺ said, أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَنْ يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ وَيُدْخِلَكُمُ الْجَنَّةِ. Don't you like that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive you and make you or enable you to enter Jannah? So مَقَامُ أَحَدِكُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, that the position of a person فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, facing anything that the person could handle, only fi sabilillah, despite the difficulty, despite the opposition of people, despite of how his reputation might be impacted, despite of his low position in the eyes of people, regardless of all of that, as long as the person is doing the right thing in devoting him or herself for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and calling others to that deen, to this religion, helping others to continue steadfast in this religion, despite of what people may face him with, despite of how they will be labeling him. That position is better for the person than staying at home doing nothing but praying for 70 consecutive years. Another hadith in Sahih Muslim and in Sahih al-Bukhari was reported by Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu wa ardah. Anas ibn Malik said, كنا مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في سفر. We were with Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم on a travel. Like a group of companions with Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم making a long travel. حتى إذا كنا في يوم حار نزلنا منزلا فمنا الصائم ومنا المفطر. So on a day that was very, very hot, we decided to just slow down and sit in a place to just get more energy and relax and have some time for ourselves. But at that point in time, some of us were fasting and others were not. And that was during the travel, and we know that in travel you are able to break your fast, even if it were in Ramadan. So Anas ibn Malik said, فَمِنَّا الصَّائِمُ وَمِنَّا الْمُفْطِرُ. From among us were a group who were fasting, and among us there was another group that was not. فقام المفطرون فبنوا الأبنية وأسقوا الركاب. So the ones who were not fasting were able to build some shade for people, to protect people from the heat of the sun, and they were able to bring water so that the animals, like the camels and horses, can drink from it. وَأَمَّا الصَّائِمُونَ فَسَقَطُوا. But those who were fasting, they almost fed, and they could not do nothing because of how weak in strength they were. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذهب المفطرون اليوم بالأجر. He ﷺ said that today those who did not fast were the one who got or who won the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dear brothers and sisters, in today's time, when we see the calamities approaching and touching and facing our brothers and sisters, almost everywhere, but in particular in Palestine, we see that people have multiple reactions to them. Some people decided to just leave things aside and focus on their own life, enjoy the day and night that they have, enjoy the nice, comfortable life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed them with, and let others handle the issues. And wallahu alam, there's a huge group of even Muslims who have chosen this path. There's another path or another reaction by people who actually stood fast, stood up, raised their voice, condemning what's happening, helping people. And this could have costed them to lose their jobs, to lose their reputation, to be attacked by the media. Whatever it could have taken, they were willing to pursue it. And we have seen that even non-Muslims have done this. Even Jewish and Christian people have done so. They lost their jobs because they wanted to say the truth and say no to this injustice. But unfortunately, there is a third category of people who went to the extreme. And those are the ones, and there are many Muslims who did this, who started to blame the Muslims for what's happening to them. They started to say Palestinians deserve to be beaten and to be attacked because they did not listen, because they are connected to Hamas and connected to Hezbollah, connected to Iran, and all that garbage statements that they have said. And started to make even fatwa that boycotting the companies that are supporting this military brutal attack against Palestine is not permissible because we don't have a leader who tells us to do so. Some of them even went even worse and said we cannot even make dua for the people there because they are the brothers and sisters of Shia. Walayadu billah, it truly hurts when you see this type of reaction for people who are enjoying their life, enjoying the safe and comfortable life that they are living with. They forgot what they have said and the way that they believe has not been said by even the attackers themselves. Even the attackers did not even say that. And many Muslims are saying this. And you see that in the media. You see multiple times people send you on WhatsApp or on any of those social media groups fatwa from some of the so-called mashayikh condemning the Palestinians for causing themselves the trouble that they are suffering right now from. And wallahu ta'ala ala wa alam, this is actually is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the pattern of life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created, which is at the time when there's no calamity, you probably may not recognize who is truthful and who is just a hypocrite. At the time of calamities, when people are under pressure, when people are threatened, then at that point in time you see the hypocrites very clearly. You see those people whose whole concern is just to maintain their positions, maintain their source of income, maintain their status in the sight of others. That's the time when things clear up. At the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, that's exactly what happened. When they were defeated, the hypocrites said to Rasulullah ﷺ and to the Sahaba, we told you, don't follow this man. But before that, they were like, oh, we are with you. And when the Rasul ﷺ and his people were victorious, they would say, we are with you, we love you, we support you. That's exactly, subhanAllah, the act of hypocrites. I really loved a statement that was said by one of our scholars who said that people who change, like flip, all of a sudden, like they were seen to be like leaders in khair, and then they flip. They just go the opposite direction. Most likely, it's not because they flipped. It is because they have uncovered their mask, because they have taken their mask away. They were trying to pretend to be leaders of khair, but at one point in time, they just exposed their secrets. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not reward people who were really steadfast and sincere in their religion by making them flip, by making them turn their back to the khair and to the truth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would never do that. It is the people's choice. And the fact that a person has been doing khair for a long time and then all of a sudden 180 degrees goes back, that's not possible. What is more likely to happen is that this person was trying to hide, and now the person is exposed. Dear brothers and sisters, this category is very clear now. But the other category, which is the people who have decided that they should be silent and they should mind their business only. And they shouldn't be involved in any of those things, even if it were for making qiyam al-layl to make dua, even if it were for them boycotting some of the products that really support, for companies that really support the attack or the barbaric attack, even if it were for just raising some awareness, even if it were to just say no to this injustice, even if it were for just talking to the very private family about how wrong this attack is, that even is another category that, subhanAllah, is really far away from what Rasulullah ﷺ was teaching his companions to be. Brothers and sisters, Rasul ﷺ told us about shaitan, but he also told us about a deaf shaitan. About a deaf shaitan, or a shaitan that cannot speak. A mute shaitan, actually. Deaf and mute. He said, whoever is quiet, whoever is silent, when he or she is in need to speak up, is like a mute shaitan. كالشيطان الأخرس, like a mute shaitan. The person who does not speak up at the time when they are supposed to, when there is something wrong happening and they choose to just be silent, they are like a shaitan that is mute. That's the category here we're talking about. Yes, this is way better than the munafiqeen, than the hypocrites, but still shaitanun akhras. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه وتوبوا إليه إنه غفور رحيم. الحمد لله على إحسانه والشكر له على توفيقه وامتنانه، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله تعظيما لشانه، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله الداعي إلى رضوانه. يا رب صل وسلم وبارك على خير خلقك ورسولك نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu stated in an authentic hadith that a person came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he asked him, Ya Rasulullah, من هو أحب الناس إلى الله وما هو أحب الأعمال إلى الله? Who is the most beloved person to Allah, and what is the most beloved action to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? He said, أحب الناس إلى الله أنفعهم للناس. The most beloved person to Allah is the one who serves other the most, who benefits other the most. وأحب الأعمال إلى الله سرور تدخله على قلب مسلم. And the most beloved act to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the happiness that you bring upon a believer. At this time, when we see people losing their most beloved ones, actually losing their homes, losing themselves, losing their lives, and we sit in our gatherings, perhaps eating and drinking and chatting and enjoying our nighttime and saying, well, did they do good? Did they do bad? And find ourselves in a position where not only that we could not help, but unfortunately on top of that, we are letting down our brothers and sisters. And we're making ourselves in a position where we can judge like whether they did good or they did bad. And wasting times and times, and even getting into the worst thing and showing some hypocrisy. That actually is very far from what a Muslim should be. So he said, وَأَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ سُرُورٌ تُدْخِلُ عَلَى قَلْبِ مُسْلِمٍ. أو تطرد عنه جوعا أو تقضي عنه دينا أو ترفع عنه كربة. Either a happiness that you bring upon the believer, or that you save them from hunger, or that you fulfill a debt for them, or that you relieve them from a distress. I ask myself first, and everyone here, what have we done to our beloved brothers in Palestine and in all over the Muslim place? In all over the world, what did we do for them? Before we start making judgment, before we start making any reaction, like, have we thought about our duties towards those brothers and sisters who are being impacted day and night? Dear brothers and sisters, if all what we have seen did not really change us, did not make us think about our duties, I don't think there is anything in this world that can change us. And it seems in reality that some people have lost the last portion of their humanity, have lost the last portion of their sincerity, that they lost the last portion of their truthfulness and their religion. When people start, and I'm sorry to say this repeatedly over and over, perhaps maybe because I'm an imam, I always receive those letters or messages that say, what is the ruling of what is happening in Gaza? And then you see someone who has the appearance of a sheikh, but subhanAllah, perhaps the only thing that has anything to do with the sheikh is his beard. Other than that, he is more of a hypocrite than anything else. He would say, they deserve what happened. And they would say, there's nothing that should have caused these people to do what they have done for themselves. They are the ones who caused all the trouble. Well, when you see with this level of people leading Islamic khutbahs or Islamic activities or being introduced as mashayikh or as leaders in religion, you kind of understand, or you kind of have a reason why many of our youth are actually turning their backs to the religion. And I say this very sadly, wallahi. I have been working with a lot of youth who come from, when I say youth, like graduate students from universities, who come from all over the Muslim world, being hired in some of the most prestigious high-tech companies in this country. And they come very, very practicing Muslims. But because of all these behaviors that they are seeing from some of the mashayikh, some of them have left their religion. Some of them have come to a conclusion that if the mashayikh are reacting this way, then there's something wrong with this religion. Dear brothers and sisters, sometimes we act like the mashayikh. When we are in our gatherings and drinking a cup of tea and make no care, no sense towards our brothers and sisters, despite all the desperate need that they are in, laughing and making no sense in our speech, we will be acting like those who are actually pushing people away from the religion. Because by you being named or called as Muhammad or Ahmad or Abdullah or Abdurrahman or any of those names, you are representing an Islam in one way, in one shape, in one form or another. And by you reacting in this very negative way, then you are giving that indirect message that your religion was the one who made you the person who you are. I want to leave that now and just give some positive sense here. I got a call from our brothers in ISB, the Masjid al-Rahma in Baltimore. The Imam, Jazallah Khair, has said, Sheikh, we have a plan to do an open house at ISB. You know why? I was like, okay, well, I don't know if this is the right time. He said, for the uncountable number of phone calls and emails and requests that came from our neighbors wanting to know and understand what Islam is all about. And you know why? Because those non-Muslims, when they saw the steadfastness of the people of Gaza, when they saw the best examples of real human, of people of Gaza, like how patient they were, how strong they are in their faith, in their patience, in their sabr, and in their faith, in their aqeedah. They couldn't believe that there are humans who can do this. And they said that there must be something special in their heart that make them the people who they are. Dear brothers and sisters, we can choose who we are. Either people who will make others hate Islam, or people who make others love Islam. I do believe that the people of Gaza, despite that far distance, perhaps they'd never put a step in the US. Despite all the bad propaganda, all the brutal attack on them in the media, labeling them as terrorists, labeling them as animals, all the bad things that have been said against them. Despite all of that, we see a huge number of people here, non-Muslims, who are now interested to know what Islam is all about because they have seen real human. They have seen real human, real adults. They have seen people of honor, people of principles, people of faith. Dear brothers and sisters, it's our choice. Either we choose to be like the hypocrites, or like the mute shaitan, or to be fi sabilillah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidun Majid. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم يا رحمن يا رحيم يا قيوم السماوات والأرضين انصر عبادك الموحدين. اللهم فرج هم المهمومين من إخواننا في فلسطين. اللهم نفس كرباتهم. اللهم يا ربنا انصرهم على عدوك وعدوهم يا رب العالمين. اللهم يا رحمن يا رحيم برحمتك نستغيث لا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين ولا أقل من ذلك ولا أكثر. يا ربنا لا تؤاخذنا بما فعل السفهاء منا. اللهم لا تؤاخذنا بما فعل السفهاء منا. اللهم لا تؤاخذنا بما فعل السفهاء منا يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصرنا نصرا عاجلا مؤزرا يا أكرم الأكرمين. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله العظيم الجليل يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون وأقم الصلاة.